Today, we're going to talk about the last tremendously influential thing that Sumerians left us, the god Blood Man. We mentioned in the last episode that Gilgamesh was a watershed moment. Before him, the kings on the Sumerian king list were gods, and the kings after him were all humans, while he himself was a demigod. Gilgamesh's mother was the daughter of the goddess Ninsun, the main god Anu on Nibiru. Gilgamesh's father was a human who was empowered with immortality by Ninmah and later became a god. After Gilgamesh's father ruled for 1,200 years, he passed the throne to his demigod son. Therefore, Gilgamesh is the nephew of Anu, the main god of Nibiru, and a cousin of the Queen of Heaven, Inanna. In terms of bloodline, he is 2/3 god, 1/3 human, and he is a demigod without immortality. This was a reality that Anunnaki couldn't accept for the time being, but it didn't affect Gilgamesh's rule on Earth at all. He had what he wanted from a young age, and his life was incredibly good. He had the ability to communicate with God and the right to rule over mankind. After he became king on Earth, he did whatever he wanted. What he did was outrageous. For example, he claimed the right to choose any and every woman he wanted. This was a bit too far-fetched. If things continued on like that, of course the people wouldn't accept it. So, the angry people prayed to the gods. After hearing the voices of the people, the gods decided to create a humanoid named Enkidu to teach this absurd king. Enkidu was born in a forest. He was infinitely powerful, but it had no humanity at all. Next, the gods arranged the sacred prostitute Shamhat to seduce Enkidu. After Shamhat and Enkidu spent 7 indescribable days and nights in the forest, Enkidu became human. Enkidu followed Shamhat to the hunter's camp and integrated into the civilized society. At the same time, he also heard about Gilgamesh's crimes and felt extremely angry. He decided to kill this hateful Gilgamesh. One night, as Gilgamesh was about to rush into a bride's chamber, Enkidu stood in his way. The two fought for days and nights without a winner. In the end, the fights allowed the two to get to know each other well. Instead of killing each other, they became best friends and swore to live or die together. After that, under the inspiration of Enkidu, Gilgamesh became a humble and kind king, promoted virtuous and capable people, and the whole kingdom was prosperous. After the country was settled, Gilgamesh and his best friend Enkidu began to use their extraordinary power and responsibility to fight for the sake of righteousness by slaying demons. The story of this pair of heroes circulated in the worlds of both men and gods. A hero like Gilgamesh was a true hero, and he valued love and righteousness. In addition, he was a rich and handsome king, and he could naturally capture the hearts of countless girls. With this kind of attraction in the era of mixed blood between humans and gods, did it matter whether you were a human or a god? Among them, including the current Queen of Heaven, Inanna. In terms of seniority, Gilgamesh was Inanna's cousin, but for gods, this was not a problem. However, Gilgamesh flatly rejected Inanna's courtship for a simple reason. She was too willful. After Inanna was rejected, the wayward temper came out. She ran to her father, the main god Anu, to cry and forced her father to punish the hateful Gilgamesh. Finally, unable to hold back the cry of his youngest daughter, Anu sent a monster that even the gods feared, Bull of Heaven, to teach Gilgamesh a lesson. The Bull of Heaven came to the world and brought down disasters, and people grieved everywhere. Gilgamesh called his best friend Enkidu to embark on the journey of slaying demons again. After a tough fight, Bull of Heaven was killed by the two of them together. The heart of Bull of Heaven was removed and sacrificed to their people. Enkidu also humiliatingly threw Bull of Heaven's leg to an angry Inanna. Things had now escalated too far. For the gods, it was originally a fight between Inanna and Gilgamesh, two wayward juniors. However, Gilgamesh killed the bull of heaven to sacrifice to the people and disrespected the Queen of Heaven. This series of events had transcended the boundaries between humans and gods. Gilgamesh challenged the authority of the gods with humanoids and Enkidu, who were originally servants of the gods. In the end, this incident caused the god realm to make two decisions. First, Gilgamesh had to be severely punished. However, considering that he was of divine blood and could not be sentenced to death, his most beloved friend, Enkidu, had to be killed in his place. Second, there was a difference between humans and gods. After Gilgamesh, the communication between human beings on Earth and gods had to be cut off, and at the same time, the gods must take care of themselves. This fiasco between humans and gods could never happen again. Gilgamesh watched with grief as Enkidu slowly died from the torment of his illness. Although this was the punishment God gave him, from this punishment, he had another realization. Neither the strong nor the king could defy the fate of the gods who decided life and death. Gilgamesh decided to be self-willed again. He wanted to represent all the human beings who were unwilling to be dominated by this, to find a way to live forever, to find the tree of life that Ninmah left in the world. That way, all human beings would no longer be manipulated by life and death. For that reason, Gilgamesh embarked on a journey, roaming the world. Finally, he found the only immortal who was still alive after the Great Flood, and asked him for the mystery of life and death. The immortal was terrified, and Gilgamesh tried all kinds of torture methods to test him, but he wouldn't give up the secret of life and death. Finally, the Eternal's wife couldn't take it any longer and told Gilgamesh the tree of life was located at the bottom of the waters of death. Gilgamesh used up 120 oars to cross the waters of death. After reaching his destination, Gilgamesh attached heavy stones to his feet in order to reach the seabed and obtain the plant, and finally, he found the tree of life. However, on his way back to Uruk, the tree of life was unfortunately eaten by a snake. Disappointed, Gilgamesh returned to Uruk. He raised his sad and angry head and said to his people, "I will die, and everyone will die, but the city we created will remain forever. Uruk's name, Gilgamesh's name, will live on forever." From then on, human beings began to build magnificent cities, began to write their own history, and began to completely break with gods. In this story, I wonder if you have found the point of snake. Gilgamesh almost succeeded, but the snakes let him down. Think again of the snake that seduced Eve in the Bible, and think that conquering the snake in the West is a symbol of conquering evil. Have you discovered the meaning of snakes in Western monotheistic religions? However, in a polytheistic culture, the snake represents medicine, life, and healing. Think about painting of Fuxi and Nuwa in Chinese mythology, and the rod of Asclepius in Greek mythology. And in today's global medical field and in the World Health Organization, what do they represent? This reason probably also originated in the mythology of the Sumerians. The Anunnaki came to the earth to walk outdoors. When they were working, they were probably wearing spacesuits, and this spacesuit would make them look like they had a human head and a snake body. The brother and sister Enki and Ninmah created human beings, which corresponds to the painting of Fuxi and Nuwa in Chinese mythology. However, this group of snakes did not give the tree of life to humans in the end. After Gilgamesh had obtained the tree of life, the snakes regressed. Humans, however, may not know that Gilgamesh is in the process of finding the tree of life, and the Anunnaki are also fighting fiercely. Therefore, when it is reflected in the human world, it would be viewed as capricious behavior of snakes. God's struggle might look like this. Enlil proposed that since they were going to carry out Nibiru's decision to break with humanity and leave Earth for good, so they must send another big flood to wipe out their creations, just like the last time. And this time, Enki was not to play any more tricks. Enki and Ninmah vehemently opposed the decision and secretly threatened to teach Gilgamesh immortality. Enki, Ninmah and the gods who managed the affairs of the earth, after a fierce struggle, were finally able to convince Enlil to give up the idea of eradicating human beings, on the condition that Ninmah left Enki and remarried Enlili. For this reason, her name had to be changed from Ninmah to Ninlil. Ninmah, the snake, sacrificed herself to save mankind. Human beings, like adolescent children, turned a blind eye to the sacrifice of their mother. Humans started from the Uruk era in Gilgamesh, passed through Akkadian, Babylon, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, until the birth of Jesus in the first year AD. After 3,000 or 4,000 years of hard work, they finally created the kind of only true God that belongs to human beings. During this process, the snake symbolizing mother gradually evolved into the dragon symbolizing evil. However, in the East, the siblings Enki and Ninmah may have created another batch of black-headed ones who never broke with gods. They still firmly believe that they are descendants of the dragon.